Right, so hello, yes, welcome back, Nerdly Out Loud. Although this is not necessarily Nerdly Out Loud, this is going to be the inaugural episode of the Romford Film Festival podcast. Yes, as you all know, I've been going down to the festival for a good few years now, and I've been doing my thing when I get down there. The guys just let me run riot and do lots of little interviews, little get-togethers, talking to everybody, and we're going to be talking to someone in a quick hot minute. Lawrie and Megan are coming on to talk about the Reign of Queen Ginarra. But first of all, you may or may not have seen in the, I was going to say in the news, but really it's all over the Facebook news and whatnot. The premiere it shut down, which is unbelievably sad. It's not a great thing, and we were wondering what's going to happen with the festival. Well, Spencer and the team have come up with this thing called the Romford Film Trust, which is an awesome thing where they've come together and they're going to keep the cinema open. It is going to be called the Lumiere, which I really just love. And basically what I'm doing here is I'm letting you know about this because there is a crowdfunder. There's a crowdfunder on the go, and I know I don't always go on and harp on about crowdfunders and everything like that, but these guys, they do need your help. We have got a fantastic contingent of independent filmmakers, independent films, just all these people that have been with us for years and years and years, who are all going to hopefully help us and get this thing off the ground, because we do need a little bit of cash injection to keep the cinema up and running and keep it going. And with that, we want you not just to join us, but we want you to come aboard and be one of us. And what we're asking is small donations, if possible. We know what it's like out there. We know it's hard out there. We do hope that you can find at least £1, £2, £3, and help us out. So over on crowdfunder.co.uk, you can go over there. It is Lumiere and then brackets Romford. We just want to keep it going. We want to make it as big as humanly possible. And Spencer has got some absolutely phenomenal rewards on there that you can do, and it's going to be this hub for all sorts of arts and entertainment. It's kind of like on Monday you can do a quiz night. On Tuesday, you can learn about how to make films, which is going to be awesome. On Wednesday, you can go and watch classic films. Actually, I think that's Thursday. But Wednesday, you can go and watch loads of films. Thursday, watch classic films. Premieres are going to be shown on Friday. Learn Tai Chi on Sunday. It's a whole thing. Please, everybody, just at least go and have a look. And if you can't give anything, share it. Share it to people on your Facebook, on your Twitter, on any of your socials, because there is bound to be somebody there who will think this is an amazing idea. Basically, the cinema system it's broken, for lack of a better word. So yeah, that's quickly just a little thing that I wanted to do there. As I said, this is the Romford Film Festival podcast. My name is Kevin Halden. I'm your host. I'm going to be talking quickly to Lawrie Brewster and Megan Tremethick, who you guys are going to absolutely vibe on this when it comes to Romford Horror next year, which is the 27th of February to the 3rd of March. I'm just going to bring the guys in, and we're going to get talking, and we're going to see how this goes.
Wow, hi. I can't believe we're bumping into you here. We were
In a
just passing
cinema of all
by, and
places.
there you are.
It's like my background has me in a cinema. Yours has you in a Weatherspoons, I'm guessing. Like back in the day with the Weatherspoons, they used to have those frames on the wall. You know what I'm talking about.
Oh my God, you don't know how much you've just offended him.
I especially chose those Rococo plaster frames myself. That's a Pharaoh and Ball navy paint behind me. Kevin, you just teabagged me in front of your entire audience. God damn you. But anyway, yes.
Well, guys, I do apologise if that was offensive. Always the best way to open an interview, if you ask me, and then it can only get better.
Kevin's just wondering how filthy is Lawrie going to get on this joke. I won't be that filthy. I won't be that terrible, Kevin. You're okay.
Well, I did get a message saying, so are we doing this over video or is it purely audio? Do I need to wear clothes? Are they optional? And I was like, it's never compulsory. Just do what you want, Lawrie. Just go for it.
I appreciate that, and it is that time of year where I've run out of my normal clothes and I'm forced to just wear promotional merch.
and there is absolutely nothing wrong with that.
Thank you. I mean, you look a little nicer. Yeah.
Thanks.
I mean, let's bounce back a second because you are wearing a Slave and a Sorcerer T-shirt there, and that is what we showed at the last horrific festival, Romford Horror Festival. We showed that last year. It got a really good reception. I loved it. We sat down and had a little bit of a chat as well about the movie, and you guys, you smashed it with that. But you're back for 2025, and you're bringing us the Reign of Queen Ginarra, which I watched, and it's long, but it's pretty freaking epic.
You know, it's actually going to be the first 6 hour long film that Spencer is ever showing at his festival. In fact, it's going to be shown in parks over the next 3 years of Romford Horror Film Festivals, so it should be exciting to get a start. You know,
Yeah, that's a
Yeah,
lie.
that's true.
Mm.
Yeah,
Mm.
it's
we can make it happen.
it's you know I love how to describe it. A Lovecraftian medieval epic. It has occultism, horror. It has obviously fantasy as well. Although we give it this kind of historical vibe, but there is definitely a kind of sword and sorcery vibe. But it's dark.
Yeah, dark and psychological, quite heavy in ways, but also kind of more action-packed in ways. And,
Yeah,
like lots of things.
yeah, like Megan plays almost like a kind of Elizabeth Bathory type figure, but transported into a kind of medieval realm. She kills many innocent young things. In
I mean,
fact,
is that not the best character to play?
Yeah.
yeah, and she does that in the film as well, and it's really, really good. You know,
I knew it. I walked into that one.
and you know, you mentioned the length, and you're right. It's a 2.5 hour long film, which it makes it a true epic. I think that's why I mentioned the historical aspect, because it's like you're there with the rise and the fall of our kind of ruling dynasty, you know, built on conspiracy and political allegiances, and all of this
Mm,
stuff kind of unravels due to an insane obsession this beautiful but vicious queen character has in trying to find her brother and murder him. You know, death of this exiled brother at all costs, and it
mm.
just leads to chaos and mayhem, which is, of course, what we all like.
It's Romford on a Saturday night. So, but yeah, so you've kind of explained a little bit about what the film is, but where did this movie come from, Laurie? What made you want to make this movie, this absolute epic, grandiose film? What made you want to make this one?
Well, you know, I have a huge passion for retro horror and traditional horror storytelling. And that kind of extends itself to fantasy as well. You know, with, for example, The Slave and the Sorcerer, we produced a film that harkened to the 80s sword and sorcery
Mm,
exploitation films of Deathstalker and the the Sword and the Sorcery, which our film is similarly named after and in tribute to Albert Pion. Not to forget Beastmaster. So with the Reign of Queen Ginarra, we're taking like this almost opposite far end from the kind of sleazy, sexy exploitation film um, to something that feels at times like a really twisted version of the old BBC series I Claudius, but then mixing it with this kind of like John Borman-esque Excalibur type vibe. You
mm.
know, like Megan is not too far off a kind of Helen Mirren style kind of Morgana.
I am not worthy, thank you.
And of course, you know, I'm not necessarily like John Borman, but a wish version of John Borman.
Yeah, I'm sure.
I think you're doing yourself a disservice there. I would say a Sheen version of John Borman.
She, an equally rotund version of John Borman. But um, but these things were kind of coming into play, and it felt like, because we have a love of history as well, and creating these worlds, it felt like we'd done one thing with Slave and the Sorcerer, and that we had an opportunity to do something on the opposite end. And like the Slave and the Sorcerer, in fact, both films were attempting to tell stories that were too non-commercial in some respects. And the audience might say, well, does this mean it's like a kind of an abstract art house film? No, it's not that. It's just that the commercial mainstream is so restrictive that Megan can't even play a character that murders a baby,
Spoiler.
And what has the world come to when you can't play that character?
It's true.
And it's like there's that, but then even just all the other stuff that's in that film, it's so restrictive now, that we actually, as a company with our own project, the British Horror Studio that we've created, which is kind of an assembly of our companies, like Amicus Productions and Hex Studios is behind this film. It's like a step back from the limitations of the so-called ordinary conventional film industry, entirely because of the restrictions that are placed on creative storytelling. Look at the kind of horror films and fantasy films that were made in even the 80s, sure, but in the 70s as well. And I think none of that could be made now. Like, it's just, so, and I guess in that sense, this film is like almost like a little act of creative defiance. But it's also just the kind of stories we want to tell.
Agreed. Not much.
And we come out the gates before we even get into the movie proper. We come out the gates with an absolutely just bombastic, grandiose theme song that kind of plays right the way through. I think your soundtrack in this is absolutely incredible. Like when you really listen to what's being said, what the words are to these songs, it is basically giving you the story as you go. What was the thinking behind that, and how did you put this together? Because I saw in the credits that you yourself put this together, Lawrie.
Right. Well, the music is so important to every film, and I enjoy, me and Sarah Daly both enjoy writing poetry as well as stories and things like that. And this came quite, I don't know, it's weird. It came quite naturally. And then you have all our dudes singing it, and then you have like a million Microsoft Sams singing it, so you can sing something, and then they can kind of duplicate and multiply and kind of verify the voice. And it's just like all that just kind of comes together. Like there was like lots of small contributions that created that soundtrack that we just kind of like supervised. Quite a lot of it, like using like synth duplications of vocal recordings and everything like that. But it was really important to try and create what felt like this really evil Renaissance inspired soundtrack that at times would go into kind of medieval and kind of Gregorian chant as well. I'll try and do it. Mine was like Queen Ginarra, Queen Ginarra. It's like this kind of stuff. So he imagines a whole bunch of us going Queen Ginarra. Yeah, a lot of that.
I implore people, when you're watching this movie, the visuals are brilliant. They're epic in scale and whatnot. But I absolutely implore people to really listen to the soundtrack, because it's just a whole nother character that I wasn't really expecting. It's got like, I'm a big Star Wars fan, so for me it's kind of got this Duel of Fates kind of vibe, just playing right the way throughout the movie. And I love that. I absolutely love that. So I wanted to bring that to the forefront for you.
Well, yeah, I'll just add one quick thing, and thank you so much for the praise for that. It's not often employed in film soundtracks, but there is. But in some part in older horror films, to have dissonant and atonal melodies that are they're almost they're disturbing. They're innately disturbing to the ear, and so we like to have some of the music employ those for, as you can imagine, the more sinister scenes, things like that. We also have some great music from The Hare and the Moon, which is a kind of a band that kind of presents itself as almost like a folk horror band, and they've got some cool stuff on Fiverr. And so some of the stuff they contributed as well is really cool. Like for example, there's a sequence where the Queen is kind of like mesmerized and in a kind of a trance and a dance, and they just had this great song, you know, that we were able to use in the movie for that. So.
And Megan, our titular Queen Ginarra, what was this character like on the page for you? What drew you to it, and how did you start building Queen Ginarra in your head, ready for portraying on the screen?
Oh wow! When I first read it, because Lawrie wrote the script and he did an impeccable job, I must say. And so a lot of the character, kind of like you said, was already there on the page. She was described as this kind of stoic, very still figure with very little emotion. She keeps her cards very close to her chest. And that was really exciting because usually as an actor, I'll tend to play quite emotional roles or things like that. And so it was really fun kind of then obviously in my head as well, like we talked a lot about how Queen Ginarra rose to power. So that was a big part of kind of how she formed in my head. Like we talked about how she would like make an alliance with the dukes and things like that. Anyway, that's that's nerdy stuff, but that really helped. But physically as an actor, it really helped to kind of just practice kind of training myself to keep it still and kind of keep it all bottled inside. And yeah, it was a really fun challenge.
And but like you say, some of the things we've seen you, especially in Slave and the Sorcerer as well, you are emotive. You are, hands all over the place kind of thing. And here you are, just this still presence that is, even when you're not on screen, you feel Queen Ginarra. Like as I was watching it, I was constantly like thinking to myself, what is she doing? Like even when you weren't on screen, I'm thinking, what is she doing right now? Like what ill shit is this woman doing right now? And that's the sign of a good villain. It's the sign of a great main character as well. But how hard was it for you to hold back and to not give everything?
Actually, it felt right. So it wasn't that hard because a lot of the time, Lawrie, and it's good, it can be quite heavy on the direction, and that's good. You want that from a director. But for this one, I think it was just because I was really strong with I knew how I wanted to play her, and it kind of aligned with what Lawrie wanted for the character. Plus, we were in Dunfermline Abbey that day, and we had a lot of scenes to shoot that day. But no, it was right, and yeah, we just kind of went for it, and yeah, it was good. It was fun.
Yeah, that was
a full-on day.
There goes the Christmas bonus for everyone renting that location. It's like Scotland's Westminster Abbey, this place. And you get access to, you paid for it, but you get access to it for like 9 to 6 or something. And the schedule was like so tight. The guys, they had to be like the 18, they had to spill out that van and costume, I was like, go, 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 you go over there, start filming. A constant kind of
that throne, like stop filming.
That was
So everybody looking scared was just legit looking scared.
Yeah.
I deserved a Welsh BAFTA for what I accomplished that day from an administrative and logistical perspective.
Well, on logistics and sort of the technical side of things, that you have got a ton of like VFX and animations going on. I don't want to spoil anything, but I believe it's in the trailer. We have dragons in this movie, which is sick. We love that kind of thing. But how did you go about putting all this together and getting, the VFX right and really putting your team together for this?
Well, they're supposed to be homicidal geckos, actually. But they look like dragon. No, but joking. Yeah. Yeah, well, that's right. Dragons. Yeah. Well, basically, what one of the one of the folks that helped us to get this film made for loved dragons, right? That was it. I was like, oh my god, I got some dragons in this. But you know what? We thought if we have this kind of like eldritch summoning for these servants of destruction,
Mm.
maybe we could really we could utilize dragons, but also make them really evil sons of bitches, except for a nice dragon. But this nice dragon isn't like Sean Connery dragon in like the 90s. You know, we kind of try to kind of present them almost like they're completely alien to this world. So like you'll have characters that have encountered them and they're almost like these things are like nuclear weapons. You know, they're like they're destructive, they're new. Folks can't even they don't even have a name for them. They're trying to describe what these are, but everyone's
Mm.
trying to get one, or at least utilize one for their side, you know, as this descends into all out war. And
And
you've got quite a cool scene where you've summoned them and you've met them,
Oh
and
yeah, that's my Game of Thrones moment. Like my dragons. It's fun.
that is your Game of Thrones moment.
Yeah.
I mean, slightly better than Daenerys, but okay, we'll give her.
Oh,
We'll
no,
let
you're too
her.
kind. Thank you.
We'll let her have her moment. And on that, when you guys watch this movie, the finished product, and because obviously you watch it so many times when you're editing and in the post production and everything like that. But when you watch it, what are your guys like without any spoilers? What's up on the screen that you just love the most? That you just think that looks sick.
ooh, I think for me, um, I mean, of course, there's loads of great. There's this cool visual effects, there's things like that. But when you're making an independent film, like you're in serious trouble if you're trying to kind of wet your pants about VFX and CGI. They have to be functional for the story because there's no way you can compete with companies that have
Yeah.
tens of thousands of like Indonesians holed up in a bunker somewhere pumping out effects for $1 an hour. You know, like, I can't afford $1 an hour for my guys, you know.
Can barely afford to give him a cup of coffee.
Yeah, they get cheese triangles every couple of days, you know. It's
With Michael
Yeah,
Brewster.
yes, I do.
yeah.
I have my cousin Michael. He's a very very cruel looking man, slender, cruel looking man. And he's he was doing all the dragon animation. But we do dragon animation, we do photoshopping, and we're just employing lots of technologies that are available that can help us. Me and Michael actually both started out in post production. That was one of the first things we did. But it's not like we'll spend all our lives behind the computer. But so you try and pick and choose your battles. But like with this, by using a lot of matte paintings that we could cut away for,
Mhm.
using technology that allows us to kind of like make the matte paintings move a little bit. Yeah, I mean that's good because then you're just creating images and you can try and animate them a wee bit. But most of the hard work was the traditional animation we do, where it's just like 3D dragon. All right, let's keyframe his left claw, and then his right claw, and then his left claw. Now, Michael, he loves that because his eyes are like glass. He has a passive expression, um, like a serial killer, but from the early '70s. That kind of serial killer, like the kind of character, like a man that would be in a David Fincher drama. That's Michael.
Yeah.
So that's what, yeah, it is.
I
That's how
like
you can
thinking,
do
yeah,
that. You know?
that's
Michael.
100%.
Yeah.
Sure.
Nailed it.
Yeah. But the thing that got me most excited was actually some of the drama bits because those are harder. These are actually really hard to do. And Meg and the rest of the team as well, like had Andrew Gurley as the prince, the ex brother that she's hunting. Had Adam Barnett, the dude. You had this great scene together in the dungeon where, because your character's got like emotional stuff that starts to just kind of come to the surface a little bit.
Yeah.
You get a chance to build these really cool moments. So yeah, I'd say it's the drama stuff and some of the twists and turns as well, and the way that our actors managed to kind of portray that convincingly, as opposed to unconvincing.
and Meg, do you have a particular moment that stands out for you?
Ooh. I think it would be, and this is actually the first day that we shot, but it was a climactic scene at the end where I got to work with one of our talented actors, but I don't want to give away too much because it's kind of near the end thinking about it, but it was, yeah, that was probably the wrong choice. Sorry.
Climactic. So we didn't have any sex scenes.
Oh my God,
Oh, and by the way, for all you Lawrie Brewster fans out there and Slaven the Sorcerer fans out there, 100% less nipples from Lawrie in this movie.
It's true. There was in the Slave and the Sorcerer, which incidentally is available for digital purchase on the British Horror Studio Patreon store, or on Blu-ray on BackerKit if people check. There was a lot of nipples. I mean, like a fairly equal share though of male and female nipplage. But my
No,
moves,
I feel like it was like 70-30 in your favor.
Yeah.
There was more volume to the pound, when I was on screen. You got your money's worth, with my movage, as Arlo the Torturer, yeah.
I love that. And really quickly there as well, British Horror Studios and the Patreon. Tell us a little bit about this, and let people know how they can find out more about that and how they can help support you guys as well.
Well, first off, I would say, for folks to definitely support the fantastic work that you and Spencer are doing with the Romford Film Festival, and to contribute to the new trust as well, the Lumiere Trust, to check that out. But as regards to the British Horror Studio, we've developed that as a brand that encompasses the companies that we run and are working with. So it encompasses Hex Studios, which is what we've used over the last 10 years to make our own films, Amicus Productions, which is a recent addition, and also a charity that Sarah Daly works with as well, called Fife Creative Studios, which basically does all the training and workshops for folks that we're helping to become competent, passively competent, as future slaves. My pyramid building exercises, yeah, and all. It's what we hope, Kevin. It's what we hope. If they don't all perish. So the British Horror Studio brings that together, and also an international community of folks that are aspiring to work in horror films and fantasy, as well as fans of horror and fantasy of the types that we make, which is basically, I don't know how you describe it. Seems wrong to say non-commercial, because it is, but I don't know. It's so finite now that you just take one step and you're different. And we're proud to be different. So we just thought, you know what? We need all these folks in one place. So they can hang out on our Patreon. It includes free tiers as well, so they don't have to be contributing funds. But if they do, then that helps us to develop the infrastructure for the project, which is all to do with trying to make the world's first open access horror film studio where people can get involved, actually have a voice, can get involved in our filmmaking as well. They get goodies, but they can actually get involved in the behind the scenes, behind the wizard's curtain. It's what it's all about. I'd say that's about right. What do you think?
I mean, that sounds right. And yeah, it's a pleasure to be involved with the British Horror Studio as well.
Oh, thanks. And on our Patreon, we it's like a local newspaper of what we do. So about every 2 days, we do like a post me kind of like drinking bourbon and crying and talking about things and uploading a picture of someone like installing a ceramic tile on a wall, and there'll be like 4 paragraphs about that. So it's very unvarnished. In fact, like even some of the actual challenges we experience in the business, that all goes up there. So it's a good. If folks want an unvarnished face of independent film with one of the most ambitious goals, if not the most ambitious independent film goal in the country, and to get involved, then that's what it is. So it's not me, it's much bigger than me. It's something I'm proud to be a part of, and I hope other folks will as well. British Horror Studio on Patreon.
See that right there, because when people watch this and people listen to you talk, you're very self-deprecating at times when you talk about your movies and your directing and everything like that. But you're 100% flying the flag up there, up in the top end of Scotland, as I would say. The British Horror Studios, I've kept an eye on you for a few years now. We've been talking back and forth, had the good chance to meet each other. But you do put yourself down a little bit in terms of your movies. But you're doing fantastic work. Like the Slave and the Sorcerer is an absolutely brilliant movie. We all loved that last year, and I know that everybody's going to love Ginarra this year. I already know that the panel loved the movie, so I mean that's why we're showing it. It's why we love it. And yes, it's 2 hours and 28 minutes long, but it does not feel like that. You kind of chop and change. You go from story to story, and you don't ever once feel like, you know what, I'm gonna just open my phone up and check Facebook. You never once feel like that with this movie. So I can't wait to see what you do in the future, and that is going to be my next question: is what's next for you guys? But I also cannot wait for everybody to check out the Reign of Queen Ginarra at Romford Horror Festival next year, 2025. But what's next for you guys?
Well, first, thank you so much. What are we currently working on?
Well, I was trying to adopt those 16-year-old Korean farm girls, but that didn't work.
Jesus.
You go to all the effort of the paperwork, and then the final hurdle. So yeah, I can't really take credit for that joke. That's a good Leslie Nielsen joke from Naked Gun. Well, I'm a director, but I'm also a producer. And at the moment we have, I think, there's about 5 feature films that are in post-production. So they're all getting worked on by an army of nerds, including me as a kind of
head nerd.
Yeah, like a Fagin-esque nerd from all over Twist. I've managed to gather others.
What a title, by the way. Head nerd. Like you've got to put that in your credits next.
I should do. It'll be on my rap sheet probably, but
directed by Head Nerd.
We're in post on a horror anthology sequel, For Where Many 2, which sees all the segments take inspiration from the works of H.P. Lovecraft. Meg has done a lot of work on that. There's In the Grip of Terror, which is the Amicus Productions film, which is very active in post right now. We also have in post as well a massively epic part 1, part 2 dual features, which tell one story that's already in the can. It's set in the 18th century, about a doomed military expedition to find the famed Scottish serial killer of folklore, Sonny Bean. And Black Chariot as well, which was recently subject to a Kickstarter as our Hitchcockian horror film. So you've already got that's 4 or 5 features, I think. And
my ASMR horror film spoiling you.
That's right. It's spoiling you. Yeah, Meg was you raised the most for any lady on Kickstarter doing a horror film.
Yes.
Yay.
Oh, thank you so much.
So that was 62 quid. So it broke new ground though, and that's what It's great,
But,
you know, like there's still accomplishments, but the ceiling's always just a little bit lower than what you'd like. Even though my own press release is like, yes, now we've done it on our own Kickstarter, we've done this, we've done that. But it's what it shows though is that there's a great appetite out there for the
yeah,
kind of films that we're making. Like you're spoiling you is like totally inspired by like early noughties J horror.
Yeah.
And you've like transplanted Japan of that time to Britain in this like anachronistic cultural hybrid. It's so cool.
Oh, thanks.
Like the British police all look like they dress in uniforms that are take influence from white gloves. And it's just so cool.
Yeah, I tried to kind of mix like 1970s police officers of Britain with maybe something that might be in the 90s Japan.
So like I guess that's basically 5 or 6 features in post, but we're also looking to because you have to schedule all the stuff you're shooting next year in advance,
yeah.
So like, well, we're looking at a sequel for The Slave and the Sorcerer. So that's in development for shooting. Like, you sound like a total wank when you say the second quarter. But you need quarters. You might think it's like pretentious business talk, but you need that 3-month window of ambiguity because you're gonna fail just if you say like in April I'm gonna be shooting this like that.
Fair enough, actually.
Yeah. And we've got like we will shoot 4 films a year now.
Yeah.
It's not me directing every one of them, and we've got a lot of people now working with. When I say a lot of people, I mean like a lot of people getting involved. It's not like a lot of employees, like I'm just like some pharaoh or anything like that. But what we're trying to do is we're trying to get folks to say, look, we've got gear, so come and get involved. We'll maybe give you some stuff, and then you could make this, and then we could do this and do that. It's like that kind of thing,
Yeah, yeah, and I love that. I love that. Like I say, you're flying the flag up there, so keep doing what you're doing, and I can't wait to see more and more. And with this Slave and the Sorcerer, are we potentially going to be getting a Master of Riddles spin-off or prequel or short?
Sure.
Everyone loves the Master of Riddles,
Yeah.
You know
He's
how
an
long it
awesome
took.
character.
How long it took to get that fake Tanon to play Arlo the Torturer, and then this asshole character that I played that took like 20 minutes. Everyone's like, yeah, no, he's definitely gonna, he'll definitely get a cameo in there because
Amazing.
the people have spoken.
And Meg, are you pitching any kind of Ginarra sort of, standalone, like maybe go and do a little short movie somewhere, prequel, anything like that,
Oh,
spin-off?
I think that should definitely be a prequel. That'd be a great
100%.
idea.
Space not take
100%.
character, Kev. Yeah.
I think it's a good idea, Kev. Thanks.
It's thing is, it's such a cool character, and you mentioned like Helen Mirren earlier and everything like that. It's not a far cry off from that kind of role, and it's the kind of role you could just get absolutely just sucked into and just transfixed by. I mean, like I say, you weren't even on the screen sometimes, and I was still thinking, what is this character doing? Which you've got to bring that back somehow.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much.
I mean, you at least you will see a return of Naman the Sorceress in the sequel.
Yeah, she is coming back.
Except this time, your character Naman, Meg has insisted on this, Kevin. She wants to rule over a harem of beautiful young women, guarded by buff, snake-headed men.
Okay, I did insist on that bit. Yeah. They've got to be buff.
Meg's into like that, buff snake men thing. I don't know what that is.
Oh my god, that's all a thing.
I don't know if it has a name, but but she loves it.
Shut up.
If it doesn't have a name, I'm sure we can give it one.
Yeah. Make one.
So we've got that, and like there'll be other obvious familiar faces who'll be returning. Almost everyone that survived, I'm sure we'll find. But I will say though, that there were certain restrictions in the first film, not tight ones, because it was quite an outrageous film. But for example, in this next one, it's going to be a bit more crazy as well, which is good. So yeah, folks can expect even more outrageous sauce, is how I describe it.
I love it. I love it. Right, Lawrie, Meg, thank you so much for jumping on and chatting with me tonight. Thank you for being part of the first episode of the Romford Film Festival podcast, a podcast where we're going to be bringing you all the news, reviews, and interviews from the two fastest growing festivals in the UK, I would say, probably, if not the world, possibly the universe. I don't know. There's other things out there. Thank you so much, guys, for coming on. Thank you for giving us Ginarra. Thank you for letting us show it when we get to the HORRHIFFIC Festival on the 27th of February till the 3rd of March 2025. Everybody, get your tickets, get there, come and see this at the new, I believe it'll be the Lumiere by that point, or is it the 3rd that it becomes that? Either way, come and join us, be there. Lawrie, Megan, this film is awesome, and I can't wait for everyone to see it. Thank you for joining me tonight. Do you have anything you want to say to wrap out? Tell people where they can find you, where they can find the movie, all that good stuff.
Well, yes. Folks can meet us. We will be there for the Romford Horror Film Festival. We'll be supporting it every way we can, and so if folks want to hang out with us, we'll be there for the whole event. And you know, that's I don't think, can you pre-order the movie? I don't think you can pre-order the movie, can you? No, not really, not yet. But if folks join our Patreon, then eventually they will.
No one.
But yeah, we would just urge folks to support the endeavours of the Romford Horror Film Festival, to check out its crowdfunder as well.
You're too kind. You're too kind. Again, thank you so much, guys. And as the guys just said, there, do go over to crowdfunder.co.uk, Lumiere / brackets, sorry, Romford, former Premier Cinema. We've got a whole thing over there, the Romford Film Trust. Some of the money is apparently there, which is awesome. Spencer doesn't give me all those details because, to be honest, I'd just get bored and fall asleep. But we do need more help if you can give it. And if you can't, as I say, just share it. Just share it and let people know what we're doing, because we're not going to stop. We're going to be breaking the archaic mold and recreating our new mold. And we're going to save cinema. I mean, I can't really say that, but we'll try. And when we have filmmakers and people like British horror studios out there, and a lot of the other guys that we've got out there that we've been championing over the years, when we have people like that making the movies and creating their passions, there's no way we can fail. There's no way. So
no, well, one of the fantastic things about your event, and Spencer and everyone involved in that event, is they understand the importance of supporting and advocating for grassroots independent film. And folks make a strange distinction with the independent film grassroots. They think, oh, that's not part of film, and it's like, well, it is. That was independent film 20 years ago. It's just we live in such a corporate environment now that what would have just obviously been part of the film industry, independent film, is weirdly ostracized. And now you have many people that feel they can only be taken seriously if they try and do this corporate presentation. It's a load of nonsense. But by supporting and advocating for real independent film, you're advocating for a real British film industry. And that's something that Spencer's doing, and the whole team at the event. And it's one of the reasons we're so proud to be involved in any capacity with what you guys are trying to achieve.
Awesome. And I can't say any better than that. So we will be there February the 27th through to March the 3rd, HORRHIFFIC Film Festival. We will be showing the Reign of Queen Ginarra, and I hope everybody comes down to see it, checks it out. I can't wait to see it on the big screen. There's a couple of scenes in there that I'm like, I've got to see that on the big screen. So guys, I'm going to wrap this out, and thank you so much for joining me.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you for having us.